So we are going to make a simple loaf of bread, not crusty, just a normal loaf. So we need some strong white bread flour. Now I use this because I was buying the Sainsbury's one, but this, just pay a little bit extra, better. Obviously if you disagree with that, that's fine, you can buy what you want. I've got two of them because that one's going to be used first. Some caster sugar, some yeast, some butter, salt, and 300 ml of warm water, again just out the tap. And a knife to mix. So what I'm going to do is I am going to weigh out 500 grams of strong white bread flour on my trusty scales that are not even straight. Don't do that. That's a little bit of an accident. Right, sorry about that. The soup maker also started to blend and I was like, this is just not going to work. Right, so I've cleaned up the flour that I've just dropped everywhere. And I have 500 grams, forget how far the camera goes, 500 grams of strong white bread flour. Didn't need to open that one, so that's a bonus. So then we are going to go, let me get a spoon. So I have a teaspoon and a tablespoon. So we're going to go for a 1.5 teaspoon of caster sugar, or whatever's to your taste. Obviously that's purely up to you. 1.5 teaspoons of salt. I don't know why I'm measuring this and pretending to be someone I'm not, because I don't normally measure salt and sugar. We're going to get a 7-gram packet of yeast, which this is what I like because they are ready prepared basically. Great. So we're just going to tear that. And that yeast is just going to go in there, okay, like that. And what I'm going to do is, watch as well, I'm just going to give it a little mix with my hands, just to combine the yeast, the sugar, the salt and the flour. Yes. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of butter, preferably at room temperature, just so it's soft and good. Just like that, just a big knob of butter. And then we are going to crumble this mixture with our hands to make sure that the butter's all intertwined. So yeah, now this is a kneading recipe, which I don't mind, so we are going to knead it for 10 minutes, but I don't mind that because it's like I've got the window and sorry guys. So, right, I've crumbled in the butter, so now I'm just going to add the water. I'm just going to do half, and then we're going to use our butter knife to mix. So I'm just doing half to get a good mix. Now, if you need more water, more flour, don't be shy, add it in, it doesn't really matter. For the rest of it. You will need some extra flour to, so we can knead. Although sometimes I find that you get the drips and dries in the bottom of the bowl, so we could use that, that's fine. Right, I am just going to start with my hands now. Right, so what you want is a dough, like that. If you have a mixer with a dough attachment on, you can use that, but just put it on for 5 minutes. But we are going to knead for 10 minutes, okay? And this is very important. because we want to get the gluten going. So whatever's left in your bowl, don't waste. Just tip it out, maybe not that much. Put some back in for later. I'm just gonna do this, and then all we're gonna do is use the palm of our hands, and we're just gonna knead like that. Don't overstretch it, just like a rolling motion. It will be quite sticky, but that's okay, it doesn't matter. As the more you knead, the less that will be sticky. If you do it too hard, the water contents comes out. So if it is sticking to your work surface, just flour your hands, flour your surface. Like I say, use the drips and drags out of your bowl, it's fine. So yeah, we are gonna knead for 10 minutes. I will fast forward this there. Yeah, just like this, like that way, quarter turn, that way, quarter turn. You'll find your own way of doing it. You don't need me to tell you what's the right way and what isn't the right way. As long as we're getting some kneading going into it, like I say, it will become dry. And I've got a big window here, so I can just find it quite nice just to stand and watch the dogs in the garden, which is very odd. I don't know why the greyhound is in the garden when it's raining. It's been a bit weird today. I haven't locked him out, by the way. The door is open, so if he does want to come in, he can come in. As you knead, you can tell the texture in the dough changes. So this is becoming less sort of stretchy, if that makes sense, and more, I don't know, it just changes. You know what I mean if you do it for 10 minutes. I think it becomes less pliable almost. What we need, look at that, lovely. Right, I'm just going to get a clean bowl. Right, so I've got a clean bowl. What I'm going to do with a little bit of butter, I'm just going to pop a little bit on my finger and I'm just going to spread it around the bowl, mainly on the bottom because I don't want the dough to stick to it. Not that it should, but no. So yeah, so my dough is ready. We're going to pop it in. We're going to get a clean tea towel. We're going to cover it, and I'm going to leave it in a warm place in the kitchen. And then I'm at work tonight, so I'm going to go and have a nap. And then when I come back, this will hopefully have rose, and then we can get it in the oven. Hi guys, right, I'm back with my bread and it has doubled. Look at that. So what we're going to do now is you need to get a bread loaf tin. Mine holds 2.5 pounds, I think, so about 900 grams. and I am going to do a little experiment because I have already made this loaf of bread a couple of times over last week, but I want to try and make a bread roll with it. So I'm going to get my mixture. I'll come to the bread roll thing in a minute. So what we're going to do, move these. So I'm going to give it another 5 kneads. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the bowl. I'm going to get it back out. Just going to get a knife. And I'm going to just cut, not as easy as it looks. I'm just going to cut a tiny bit off. Now this is just for my experiment. And I'm going to mould it into a roll. To be fair, yeah, that'll be fine. Again, I'm not very good at making circles, but anyway. So, in fact, I'm going to do that again. There we go. And I'm going to put that in a baking tray on its own, and I'll cook that when I cook the bread. So this one, I'm now going to make a oval shape with. I'm not sure if I was supposed to cut it. Or I should have cut it at the start, I don't know, but little in. So yeah, so I have a nice, smooth oval shape. I'm going to pop that in my slightly oiled dish, loaf tin, like that. And I've got my one roll to try and experiment with, and then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to cover it back over with the tea towel and just leave it to rise, probably for about an hour. I should have said that one, when I took it out of there, it had rose for 2 hours. I'd left it for. So yeah, so I'm going to cover this, put it somewhere warm in the kitchen, and then come back in an hour and see what's happened. So I have left this for an hour and a half, and it's risen like this. So that is my loaf. As you can see, it's doubled in size, and that is my cob, as we call it here, or bread roll, whatever you want to call it. So I've preheated my oven to gas mark 6, which is about, I don't know, 200 degrees. Google it, I'm not sure. So yeah, so I am going to go and pop that in for about 30 minutes. Right, so I've taken this out of the oven after, for 30 minutes. I took the cob out, and it's hollow, so you can hear it. That is good, nice. So my husband can have that for pack up tomorrow. So the bread, so it has foil on it because it started to burn a little bit, so, but it wasn't quite done underneath. So I've popped a bit of foil on it. It's got a nice tap to it, that's really hot. So I'm just going to pop it out, and then as you can see under, oh, that's loads better done. So when I first took it out and flipped it, it was still a little bit soggy, but that sounds like a drum. Nice, good. So yeah, so we're going to pop it on a wire rack to cool. So there we have it, a loaf of bread, which is my farmhouse loaf, and a cob. Nice. Right, now it's cooled down, I'm just going to slice it just to see what happens. Watch your fingers. Oh, nice.
Is it good?
Look at that. Good loaf of bread.